Hello, my stamping friends. This is Holly Peterson, and I'm an independent demonstrator with Stampin' Up. And today I'm going to show you how I made this gatefold card that's not your traditional gatefold. I'm using the Petal Park stamp set and Petal Park Builder Punch, as well as the Country Corners dies for the label piece. With that, I will get all of this out of our way. And the card base is a standard card base, 8.5 by 5.5, but you're going to score it along the 8.5 inch side at 1 and 5 1/4. Just going to burnish those with my bone folder. And you could make this open either way. I'm going to make it open the skinny side on the left. And then I have some Designer Series paper from the Delightfully Eclectic pack. And I have one pattern that's 7/8 by 5 1/4 and another pattern that's 3 by 5 1/4. On my original card, I used the back side of this paper, but I was looking through the paper and I liked these smaller dots instead. So on this card, we're going to use a different piece of paper in that set. It looks like I cut my strip a little bit too short. Oh well, we will make it work. Okay, so I'm just going to adhere these down to my card base. Just like that. Oh, maybe I want this closed so that I can kind of line up the edges here. So I've got a little bit more room at the top and the bottom. Than I do on the sides of this piece, and it helps if you get it on straight. Okay, try and get that a little straighter. There we go. But on my bigger piece, the border is the same all the way around, so that's why I modified this piece as well. I guess I could have cut it thinner, but that's okay. We will use it like that. And then what I'm going to do is I have a scrap piece of paper here that I am going to stamp the outline image of my flowers with Misty Moonlight. And whenever I'm using a punch, I like to look at my punch to see how to line up my stamp. So I know my big flower needs to be over here, and then it'll make punching it out a little bit easier. So we'll ink that up. Stamp that down. I'm going to, while I have my Misty Moonlight ink, I'm going to stamp the inside of my card as well. Actually, this one I want to stamp my leaves first. So for the line image of my leaves, I am using Garden Green. And I overlapped it on both edges. So we'll go like that. I'm going to set that aside. While I have the green ink open, the Garden Green, I'm going to stamp the leaves on my envelope. And then I'm going to also, I have cut out one of the Countryside Corners dies. I've cut out a piece of basic white from a 2 3/4 by 4 1/4 inch piece, and I use the 3rd largest die for this. So then I'm going to stamp my leaves on here, and I'm going to leave enough room for my greeting down at the bottom. And let's go right there. Okay. Then to color the leaves, I'm going to be using Granny Apple Green and the fuller image of the leaf set. And we are going to just stamp that down. And I didn't have the same color, the same coverage of ink on my stamp, but I kind of like the different colors of the green on there. So we'll set that piece aside, and we'll come in and we'll fill in our envelope. I like the photopolymer stamp sets, the ones you can see through, because it makes the two-step stamping really easy. And then we will do one more time on our inside. And I found with this stamp set, this leaf image is actually kind of flimsy, especially in here in the middle, where it's only got a little bit of connection there. I like to lay it flat on my table and then pick it up with my stamp or with my block, because then it lines up easier with the other image. Okay, so that color is done. So now we will come back to our Misty Moonlight, and we will, I'm not sure exactly how this lines up, but this is how I like to do it. Kind of nestle the largest flower in the center there, just like that. Let's do that on our envelope. And then the other thing we're going to do with Misty Moonlight is we're going to stamp our greeting. And I'm just using Thinking of You. And this Thinking of You is from the Go-To Greetings, I believe is what it's called. And I'm going to bring that down a little bit. My light has a glare on that block. And pretty good. On the grading, I did use the Happy Labels Pick-a-Punch and I used the little scallop edge on it. So I just turned my punch upside down and put my stamped image so that I could see if I was going to be cutting any of my stamped image off. And, well, oh, here we go. And then you can kind of move this around to try to get the little scallops even. I think my piece is just a tad wider than the 1/2 inch that goes in here. But we'll call that good. We'll just cut that little piece off. And I actually might need this a little bit shorter. Let me grab some scissors. I'm gonna just snip it off and try it again. Hopefully I have enough to hold on to here. There, I think that will be better. And then I took my fresh freesia and a sponge dauber, and then I just went around the edges of my sentiment here. Whenever you use a sponge dauber on something, you want to hold the paper kind of tight, and then it sponges a lot better, easier that way. Okay, I think that's good. We'll just set that aside for a minute. And then we're going to come in with the full image of the flowers. And we're going to stamp all of our layers here. So there's our envelope. Here is the inside of our card. And then the pieces that I'm going to punch out. Just like that. When my full image is lighter than my outline, I do like to do my outline first. It makes it a lot easier to line up the inside when the outside lines are darker. So then I'm going to take my punch, and you could punch out a leaf as well. I opted not to punch out a leaf on this card. But then you just line up your punch, your images, and you can squeeze your punch but not cut, and then it holds your paper in there so you can see if it's lined up where you want it to be. And then you just punch it out. And then we are going to bring in our leaf image. Well, actually we're gonna assemble part of our card here. See if that will lay down a little bit better for me. I have in Misty Moonlight, I use the second largest Countryside Corners die, and then the same side out of the Vellum Basics. And I started with a 3 by 4 3/4 inch piece. So with this one, I'm going to just layer the vellum right on top. My original card, I used the leaf image of the vellum. This time I'm using the polka dots. And since the center is going to be hidden, we're just going to put our adhesive in the middle of our vellum. And then we're going to just line it up and layer it right on the Misty Moonlight. And you can see that that vellum, the adhesive shows through it. But since we're covering it up with another layer, it's not going to matter. So we're going to just do this flat. And I think I guess we'll do this one a little bit different. We're going to put our bigger flower kind of towards the bottom and the little flowers towards the top. Now to adhere this, we only have a 1-inch strip over here. And I didn't want it all the way over. I kind of wanted it a little bit centered. So you only want to put a little bit of adhesive on that side. And I'm just using Seal. And then we're going to make sure none of our adhesive is showing. And maybe preferably get it straight. That's always helpful. So then the card's going to open this way. We've got our punched out flowers, and I thought I brought some dimensionals over here. Evidently I did not. Let me grab some. So I'm just going to put two of the mini dimensionals on the largest flower and one on the two smaller flowers. And I like to start with the big one, so let's backtrack a little bit here. And we'll stick that one down there. This little one we will tuck right there. And then the bigger, the middle-sized flower, we'll just tuck right there. And then with my sentiment layer, I just did that flat, so I'm only adding adhesive to the left side because it's going to hang over my label here. We'll just stick that there. And then for the centers of my flowers, I use the Adhesive Back Sequence Trios, and I used the white sequence. This comes with Pretty Peacock, White, and Berry Burst sequence, and I just used the white ones. So for the two smaller ones, I use the small sequence. And then on the larger flower, I used one of the bigger sequins. Just like that. And there we have it. Thanks so much for stopping by. Head on over to my blog. If you've missed any of those dimensions, I'll have all those on my blog post. And if you've liked my video, I invite you to subscribe and like the video. And I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.